And we have Simon Buer, who is the conference event manager for Ocalicon. And we have Sean Henry, who is the executive director of Ocali, which stands for the Ohio Center for Autism and Low Incidence, with us. We've got them on a cell phone, so we've got picture from Skype and audio from cell phone. And I want to congratulate both of them on being great and perseverant and sticking with us while we figured out how we can make this interview work, because that's what makes sense. And all this week we're talking about what makes sense. So Sean, I want to start with you and talk about, because I think that Ocali is something that makes great sense. Would you tell our viewers what Ocali does and why it's there?
Well, thank you for saying that, because we truly want to make sense. Kind of our motto is linking research to real life. And so unless you are making sense, you can't connect to that real life piece. We're legislatively mandated to exist here in Ohio, and that started back in 2004 just to meet the growing need for families and individuals with autism here in the state of Ohio. And so I would say we basically do three things, kind of three buckets. We inform and influence policy, and we do that through we're connecting with all of our state agencies. So we don't work with just one state agency, but across the lifespan, which we think is critical to really affecting change. And so again, so things that make sense is policy working at the ground level and making sure we inform the state if it is or is not. We also have a group that meets at Ocalicon called the National Autism Leadership Summit, which is really looking at statewide policy in many different states. So we want to affect change here, but also nationally to have influence. We consult and collaborate is the next bucket. We consult and collaborate with truly anyone and everyone who is trying to affect change, and that would be from national partners like housing our autism internet modules and working with the National Professional Development Center on Autism Spectrum Disorders, or locally working with restaurants to be more open and inviting individuals and their families into local restaurants so that their quality of life is greater, so they can go enjoy an evening out. So it could be local community all the way to the national level. And then the third thing we do is research, develop, and deploy best practices. We do that in multiple modes. A lot of our work, we always think of anything we do, what would that look like that we could expand it out to many, many more folks in the field. And so looking at that, you could look at, we've trained physician teams working with the Department of Developmental Disabilities across the state, so physicians are understand early screening. We have local diagnostic teams, so you don't have to wait 6 months to a year. Locally, you can get a diagnosis and people are more comfortable being close to home, or through our autism internet modules, which we push out internationally. So I would say those three buckets: informing and influencing policy, consulting and collaborating with all of our friends who are trying to make change, and research, developing, and deploying best practices. So that is Ocali in a nutshell.
Well, it's a pretty big nutshell, and it's pretty impressive, especially when you stop and consider that we've been talking about how do we go about being the most resourceful to help this community. And many of us have said we need exactly what you're doing on a national level. So I want to thank you for setting a standard and saying this is how we're going to do it in Ohio, and setting a precedent so that someday, I hope soon, we're going to get to this kind of participation on a national level. But you've set the bar high, and we appreciate it.